Hey, it's Ryan from the Option Income Advisor, and today's video we're going to talk about one of the screens that we use to find oversold stocks. And so, we always want to share, different ways to use the platform and different tools that you can use to find, option income ideas, just ideas in general as well, as you're managing your portfolio. So, one of the things that we've been focused on recently with just kind of how the market's been moving. So if you think about the broader indices are, still hovering around all-time highs, but you see every day these random stocks that are down, 10, 15, 20% in a day. They've really been getting hit on, earnings, this year. And I think, that's just part of the market's way of really correcting without you really seeing a correction in the broader market. Because if you think about how big of a piece these mega cap stocks are right now, they're a bigger piece of the indice than they've ever been historically. And a lot of those mega cap stocks have been relatively stable, throughout the year, and certainly the last kind of 3 to 6 months where we have seen some volatility in individual names. You really haven't seen that big of a volatility move in some of those bigger stocks. So really what you've seen is a muted move in the indices themselves. But as kind of a stock picker and trying to find ideas, right, you want to dig below the surface and say, well, I know there's stocks trading down, so how can I find those stocks that have traded off significantly and maybe be even kind of in these oversold situations. And so what we're going to show you is on the platform, and we actually saved this screener out there for those of you that are members. This is going to be a saved screen, so you can access this screener at any time. So let me just show you what we're looking at here. So these are the filters within the screener that we use, and this is a very simple screen. And I always encourage you to have multiple screens and multiple ways to find different ideas, because the market moves in different ways. And different sectors come in and out of favor, and sometimes it's a value versus growth situation, and you're always looking for just undervalued situations where it's either a good situation to sell a put or even outright buy the stock. And so I'll kind of walk you through some of my thoughts on what to do with some of these stocks here in a minute, but I want to show you just the screener I used to find some of these stocks. And so as far as close price goes, because we do sell options, one contract is always 100 shares. And so I like to set an upper limit on closing price of the stock because what it does is it at least puts it into a range where I think most people can at least do one share or one contract. So I've got $250 in there as the maximum price. So it's only going to bring stocks up that trade at least $250 or less. And then to kind of cut out, some of the kind of micro cap stuff that, really tends to move much more than, some of the larger cap stuff. We put a minimum market cap of 5 billion. So really what it does is it cuts out the micro cap stuff. The cutoff for large cap is around 10 billion. So really what we've got here is like large cap and mid cap is kind of the sweet spot here. And then percent below 52-week high. This is just how much these stocks have traded off of their peaks. So their recent 52-week highs. And so I put at least a 30% drawdown from the peak. So all of these stocks that are going to show up on this list have pulled back at least 30% from their peak, right? And then RSI, so this is the relative strength indicator. And this is a pretty widely used technical indicator, and really what it shows it, and it's a 14-day kind of technical analysis tool where it's a momentum indicator. And so as a stock has, really poor momentum or has sold off significantly, there's metrics in there that show whether or not it would be oversold or overbought. And so the RSI indicator itself, typically the conventional kind of way to look at it is if your RSI is below 30, it's kind of an extreme oversold situation. And if your RSI is above 70, it's kind of an extreme overbought situation. And so in theory, it's, when something's overbought, it kind of comes back and reverts to the mean. And then when something's oversold extremely, it comes back and kind of reverts to the mean. Now, I've seen situations, obviously, where stocks have remained overbought for a very long time. Same thing with stocks that have been oversold. They can be in that range and have a low RSI for quite some time. And so that's just one thing to consider. But at least, what we're seeing here, we've got a subset of stocks that we know, they're all kind of in oversold territory, right? So that's what we're looking for. And then just from a liquidity standpoint, as we're trading options, I always like to have a liquidity ranking, at least at some level. Our rankings are at their percentile rankings from 1 to 10. So by putting a minimum of 6 in there, it kind of cuts out the lowest, call it 50 or 60% of kind of illiquid stocks. Because if I'm going to participate in these, especially from, and I'll show you a lot of these I think that are good buys today. So we could do something like the triple play on these stocks. So I like to have good liquidity. And so that's it. That's all I put in the filter. So we'll kind of see what it returns here. And so again, you can see oversold stocks, low RSI. And if you're on the platform, you can go to screeners and then go to stock screeners, and you can see right here oversold, lower RSI. Any of these with our emblem here are standard screeners, so those are ones that everyone has access to in their platform. Anything below that are your custom screeners that you can create yourself. So you can see it's right there, the oversold stocks, low RSI. So you'll see this in there. It's the same metrics I just looked at, but this updates every day. So every day you can come in here into the platform and kind of see which stocks kind of meet this criteria. And so just looking at this, and I kind of pre-screen these a little bit, and I think one thing to point out. So our data provider has not adjusted Dell Technologies yet. So Dell Technologies spun off. They owned, a large piece of VMware, and so they actually spun that off. And so that stock price went from, it was actually trading close to a 52-week high. It was at like 110 or 115 or something. But whatever the value of the spinoff was, the stock adjusted last week or earlier this week. And so the data provider has not adjusted that yet. So this is not correct, this percent below 52-week high. And obviously that affected the RSI as well. So just so you know, if you're looking at this, and this will hopefully go, it'll remove itself here in a few days once the data is updated. But if you're looking at this and you see Dell Technologies, this is not a stock that actually meets this criteria. So just go ahead and cross that one off. But the rest of these are definitely stocks that we're in a lot of these stocks already. These are stocks that I think have quite a bit of upside left. If you think about some of these names here, and you can just see, DraftKings, Moderna, Zillow, Global Payments, Beyond Meat, Peloton. These are probably some of the ones you've heard in the news recently of just getting hammered after earnings. But a lot of these I think are really, really strong brands. They've been, I think, punished enough in the market. And so that's kind of what these oversold stocks, kind of provide for you, right? It provides, potential ideas that you can use to either purchase the stock or, again, sell a put. It's already off quite a bit, but you could sell a put. A lot of these have very good high volatility. So you can sell puts with, pretty juicy premium still on a lot of these. So you can see, these are all names that you probably know, a lot of good brand names here. Again, PENN National Gaming, Upstart, Activision Blizzard. This is one that we'll probably do an individual video on right now because I think that's been oversold because of some specific workplace, issues they're having with the CEO. But from a company standpoint and cash flow and the products they have, I think that thing's way oversold. Roku, Twitter. You've probably heard some of these in the news recently. PayPal, I think, is a phenomenal. We actually just did a video on that one. I think that's a great one to get into. Rio Tinto, Valley, some of these material stocks. Even Carnival has continued to kind of decline. I think with just continued COVID fears out there. But look, all these stocks I think are worthy of taking a look at. And you can see I actually sorted this by RSI. Again, ignore Dell Technologies there, but you can see a lot of these are under 30. DraftKings, Zillow, Global Payments. Peloton's right around 30. So 30 is that kind of, again, extreme oversold situation. So you can see the percent below 52-week highs here. I mean, almost all of these are 50% plus off their peaks. And keep in mind, like, these stocks were definitely ran up way too much, but at some point they become worth taking a look at and probably worth purchasing as they've come back to reality. They've corrected off these really extreme levels. But as a company that has good brand, a lot of these still probably don't have earnings. But I know Peloton doesn't have earnings yet. Zillow, I think they just went positive on their earnings. DraftKings, again, doesn't have earnings, but it doesn't mean that these aren't interesting stocks to hold, right? Because if you look at even the valuations on some of these, some of the ones without earnings, you look at price to sales ratios, for example, and what they're trading at on a price to sales basis makes them extremely attractive. And if you think about, I know Disney mentioned DraftKings in their recent report, either partnering with them or potentially purchasing a online kind of betting app and platform. When these stocks are at these levels, it almost makes them buyout candidates, in my opinion, right? So I think, looking at some of these, DraftKings, they're down to 15 billion in market cap. Zillow's down to 15 billion in market cap. Peloton's down to 15 billion in market cap. It makes these a little bit more attractive even from that perspective. So, again, this is meant to be kind of an idea kind of generator. And remember, you can always click on any one of these, go directly to the stock profile. And what I do from here, right, is I'll take a look at that screener, and then I'll immediately go in and start looking for potential cash secured puts, on these stocks where this thing obviously is sold off, quite a bit. And you can look at we're looking at the Decembers right now, and you can just find potential opportunities where these are you can still get really huge margins of safety. This one only trades in $5 increments, so it's not the best example. But even this 30, this December 30, you can get almost 1%, over 30 days, but you still have a 21% margin of safety and only an 8 delta, right? So there's significant opportunity, I think, here to just take advantage of the cash secured puts, if that's kind of more along the lines of your risk profile, or actually purchasing the stock here and allowing it to run up a little bit. And if you recall, we go over one of the things we use in trading is called the triple play. And so you're familiar with the wheel, obviously, where we sell puts. If you get a sign, you sell a covered call. Well, the triple play, really what it does is you're doing both at the same time. So there's a situation where if you find one that's oversold like this and you want to purchase some today to take advantage of the upside, you can buy some of the stock today and then use kind of the rest of the capital that you might have allocated to that trade to sell puts, right? And I usually think about either doing half and half, or maybe 25% in the stock and the other 75%, in the put, just to get a position where we can ride it up, and then you always have the option to sell covered calls, right? If you're getting into this today because you think it's got significant upside, maybe you just buy the stock and you wait a few weeks, see if it trades up, and then obviously you can utilize the selling of the covered call to increase your income, reduce your risk a little bit, that kind of situation. So that is kind of how we play with these oversold stocks. But I think these are all ones that should be on your radar right now. If you're making a list of potential trades, you can literally go into any one of these and go down there, and I'll just show you how to do a couple here. And so if we're looking at December, I like this. So this Zillow 50, right? It's in our strike zone, gives us 1.2%, still gives us a 17% margin of safety, only an 11 delta. I think that's a phenomenal risk reward. So what you do if you haven't created a put option watch list here, this is just a way to pull specific options. So now you can have a put option watch list that correlates with your your stock screener that shows all these oversold stocks. So you just add, you could do oversold CSPs. Okay, and we're just going to add that to the watch list, and then you'll have a specific watch list up there that's just these oversold options. And so let's do a couple more of those as we can see. So Peloton. So we're going to go down. Again, this 40 or even 45, but if you look at this 40, it's 1.3%, a 22% margin of safety on top of what it's already traded down, only a 10 delta. These are really, really good risk rewards at this point, in my opinion. Activision Blizzard, again, that's one that I think we'll do an individual video on because I think there's some real value here in this one. But again, these are names that have just popped up because of doing screens like this, right? I mean, you hear them on the news, but this is the way to consistently come back and say, okay, once a week, let me at least check this, oversold screener I've got on here, so I can see if there's anything that should be on my watch list that I've missed. Let's see. So, the 1217. You could either do the 60 or the 57.5 here on this one. So let's add that one. It's 1%, another 10% margin of safety. It's a 15 delta, like that. And so you can just see how easy it is to build yourself a watch list of stocks. So PayPal, let's just do a couple more just so you see what we've got here. So same thing. We go down here. We see the ones that are in the strike zone. Okay, this 190 looks pretty good. 1.2%, still a delta under 20. This thing's traded off quite a bit. Oversold. And then let's just do one of these. Let's do Rio. So this one doesn't trade as actively, but this 55, again, it 14 delta. It's got about a 10% margin of safety, about 0.8%. And so, as you watch these, right, you've got a list that you can come back to over and over, and it's ones that you've consistently pulled, and you've got them now saved on this watch list. And so if this stock trades down a little bit, all these metrics will adjust. And so let me show you. So if you go to now watch list and you go to put watch list, and go to your oversold. Again, you need to create this on your own platform here. Actually, I'll save this as a standard as well. So here, I'll save it as a standard, save settings. So now this will be saved out there for you as well. So now you have a screener with oversold, and then I'll add some more after this video. So you'll be able to access the specific December trades that I think make a lot of sense on these oversold stocks. So that's, again, just kind of, I think, useful ways to use the platform. I always talk about making yourself have multiple screeners, and so I'm gonna continue to try to put out different ideas for you on the screener side. So this is one, again, oversold. You can access it through these screeners, stock screeners that'll be up there. And then your put watch list, here, let's reload this here. And then your put watch list will also be saved out here as well. And like I said, I'll add more to that list. So there you go, oversold CSPs. So now you've got both a put watch list of ideas with some of these stocks, and then you've got a screener that you can come back to time and time again. So any questions, always, if you guys want to set up a strategy call, I'm always happy to get on the phone with you and do a Zoom and kind of walk you through the platform, making sure you're using it to your advantage, because there's always opportunities out there, and it's really about screening for opportunities, digging into some of these individual stocks and then finding specific put options that make sense. And again, on these ones that are oversold, there's nothing wrong with buying some of the stock as well on top of selling the put. So that's our tutorial for today. Any questions, again, feel free to reach out to me. Appreciate it.